Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you've ever felt like you're sprinting at absolute maximum speed but barely inching forward financially, well, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're diving straight into the actual blueprint for stepping off that exhausting treadmill and building real, scalable wealth. We're totally moving past that old, tired idea that the only way to get ahead is by simply trading your time for money. Instead, we're going to focus on exactly how to build systems that scale. So why do the hardest workers often have the least wealth? Let's unpack this massive paradox. It traps so many incredibly hardworking people on this endless financial hamster wheel. I mean, society tells us from day one, right? Put your head down, grind, work harder than everybody else, and boom, you'll get rich. But honestly, just look around. Think about a restaurant manager working a grueling, physically exhausting 60-hour week compared to the person who coded the restaurant's booking software. You see it all the time. The hardest workers are rarely the ones achieving true financial freedom. So we're going to break down the strategy behind why hard work alone is actually a deeply flawed wealth-building mechanism.
Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover the hard work myth, the power of leverage, building high-income skills, the wealth strategy roadmap, and finally, avoiding the biggest mistakes. Let's get right into it.
Section 1, the hard work myth.
24, it's the great equalizer, sure, but it is also the absolute ultimate trap for the laborer. Because think about it. No matter how incredibly hard you work, no matter how fired up and motivated you are, you still only have 24 hours in a day. You gotta sleep, you gotta eat, you have to recharge. If your income is strictly tied to your hourly output, you've got an unbreakable, purely mathematical ceiling on your income. You literally cannot work enough hours to become extraordinarily wealthy through a standard wage alone. Time is finite. Therefore, a purely time-based income is finite. It's as simple as that.
This brings us to the fundamental difference in how people actually view their effort. It's the laborer mindset versus the owner mindset. See, the laborer is entirely focused on trading hours for dollars, capped income. But the owner is focused on building systems and limitless asset creation. Actually, think of it this way. It's like hard work is spending 10 hours a day digging a trench with a shovel. Smart work is taking those exact same 10 hours to learn how to build and operate a bulldozer. The shovel, that's labor. The bulldozer is a scalable asset.
All right, Section 2, the power of leverage.
So how do wealthy entrepreneurs actually make that transition from manual effort to strategic multiplication? Well, they use one magic word: leverage. Basically, leveraging systems, technology, or other people's resources completely breaks the link between your time and your income. It's all about totally disconnecting your input from your output. With real leverage, 1 hour of your focused work doesn't just produce 1 hour of results. No way. It produces 10, 100, or maybe even 1,000 hours of results. This is literally the fundamental mechanism that breaks those chains of trading time for money.
Now, leverage comes in a few different flavors, and honestly, the landscape has completely changed recently. Historically, you needed financial leverage, other people's money, or you needed team leverage. And hey, if you've ever tried to manage even a small handful of employees, you already know the immense friction and headaches that come with that. But today, look at media, code, and AI. You don't need a massive physical team or a mountain of capital anymore. You can write a single piece of code, launch an automated newsletter, or just prompt an AI, and it works for you 24/7 on a global scale and practically for free. We call this permissionless leverage, and the crazy part is, it's available to you right now.
Moving right along, Section 3, building high-income skills.
Of course, you can't just build software or market a product out of thin air without the right abilities. You need specific skills, things like sales, marketing and copywriting, AI and programming, content creation, or business development. These skills create real wealth because they scale infinitely. I like to think of it like folding a paper airplane. If you learn how to write a highly persuasive email, hitting send to 10 people takes the exact same amount of physical effort as sending it to an audience of 10,000. That right there, that is a high-income skill. They optimize for a massive return on your invested time, and they're absolutely the foundational building blocks you're going to use to construct your wealth-generating systems. Okay, so once you've acquired those skills, you strategically apply them across a spectrum of income streams. You generally start right at the top with active income. So maybe you begin by freelancing your new copywriting or programming skills just to gain some initial experience and capital. It's time-capped, but you have high control. Then you start building semi-passive income. Think digital products or maybe a YouTube channel. Stuff that requires some maintenance but is highly scalable.
And ultimately, your big picture goal is to push your wealth into purely passive vehicles, like real estate or a SaaS, that's software as a service business. That's where you're entirely moving your effort away from active labor and straight into low-maintenance passive ownership. Okay, Section 4, the Wealth Strategy Roadmap. Listen, building wealth is absolutely not a sprint. It is a strategically staged marathon. Notice how year 1 is completely dedicated to skill acquisition. So don't stress about making massive passive income right out of the gate. Just learn to code, learn to sell, learn the ropes. Then, years 2 and 3 are all about taking those skills and leveraging them to build a business, aggressively growing your active and semi-passive income. By years 4 and 5, that's where you start implementing serious leverage, automating systems, delegating tasks. And the long-term phase, well, that's where you park your capital into investments that just quietly generate passive wealth for you while you sleep. Let's actually zoom in even closer on that first year. Because if you break your massive multi-year wealth goals into procedural, bite-sized steps, the whole execution suddenly becomes super approachable. Step 1, your 30-day plan. Keep it simple. Pick just one high-income skill and dedicate exactly 1 hour a day to learning it. That's it. Step 2, by day 90, you're building a portfolio and starting to network strategically with other people in that space. And then step 3, by the end of year 1, you use that brand new network and those sharpened skills to launch your very first scalable, semi-passive income stream. Boom. That right there is exactly how a wealth system is born. Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, avoiding the biggest mistakes. As you're implementing this roadmap, you've got to watch out for these massive wealth killers. Honestly, nearly all of these mistakes, whether it's chasing get-rich-quick shortcuts, lacking focus, or failing to invest early, they all stem from a total lack of long-term thinking and an inability to just delay gratification. That get-rich-quick tap, it's especially dangerous, mostly because it really appeals to a laborer's exhaustion. We're tired, we want a fast way out. But a real wealth strategy absolutely requires patience. Oh, and ignoring new technology, like AI? No way. Doing that just means you are willingly handing over the most powerful forms of free leverage available in human history. Don't do it. And here is a huge one. Earning more money doesn't actually make you wealthy if you just turn around and spend more. This is the classic trap of lifestyle inflation. You know the story. You upgrade your skills, you start making some nice semi-passive income, and boom, immediately you go out and buy a luxury car or a way bigger house. But real financial discipline means understanding that a flashy lifestyle is not the same thing as wealth. In fact, wealth is really just the gap between your income and your ego. As your income grows through smart work and your new systems, you have to intentionally keep your expenses locked in low and relentlessly invest the difference into assets. So, if you take nothing else away from this explainer, remember this ultimate goal. Smart work is not just about earning more money. It's about building assets that actually earn for you, finally breaking those chains of trading time for money. The true metric of success isn't your hourly rate at all. It's how much of your income is entirely detached from your personal time. At the end of the day, building wealth is simply about shifting your mindset away from exhaustive, repetitive labor and over to strategic, scalable ownership. All right, you've got the blueprints and you've got the tools. You now understand the myth of hard work, the sheer mathematics of leverage, and the exact roadmap to get you there. The theory is officially out of the way. It is time to put down the shovel and start building your bulldozer. So the only question left for you is, what wealth machine are you going to start building tomorrow?